Hello, everybody, and welcome. From now on, I'm going to talk about the relative, as I said last time. But it looks like that before we go into the relative, there's really a lot to talk about the relation or relationship of the absolute with the relative before we go into details of the relative. Uh, so today the topic is the relation of the absolute with relative. Okay, with the relative, I should say. Okay. First, I check on the internet. Nowadays, it is a big resource everybody has for information. For me, it's philosophy uh, information. And what's meaning or what does it say about the relationship of the two? First, I'm thinking about the word phenomena or phenomenon, and that's we know and invented by Kant, but it has a long history. Actually, since ancient Greeks, since pre-Socratic times, it has the meaning or the philosophers there did the separation of phenomena with whatever behind it. They are looking like say the first philosopher Thales looking for the water as an essential thing. That's one uh, which goes uh, develops into everything else, right? And other philosophers like Anaximander, Extimini, Democritus, many others, right? And they all search for what is essential or one uh, thing or element that directs or controls everything else. So that's the idea here. All right. When we come to Plato's time or and Aristotle's time, they have a very clear idea of the phenomena versus the real or form behind, right? And they even have an argument what is the reality, what is the more fundamental, right? The Aristotle says it's a reality, it's a physical world that's real, and but Plato, his teacher, says it's something behind. He calls it a form, right? Okay, so the argument started there, basically relating to the separation of phenomena versus the essence behind it. So that's the case. In the internet, the two resources I search most, I use the most. One is Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy. The other one is the Internet Encyclopedia of Philosophy, and both are very academic, and a lot of professors or professionals in the philosophy field um, doing that to help to manage it. But you know what? To my disappointment, none of them said a word about the word phenomenon or phenomena, and don't even mention the relationship between phenomenon and the essence. They don't even have that. So it's what I don't know what's going on. Maybe they missed something, or maybe the the the, the philosophers like Kant or other philosophers didn't put in details, explain it in details, nobody understand or what? I don't know. But anyway, I'm going to try on this part. Okay, let's say since Kant officially put up the word phenomenon versus essence, all right? And later on, Hegel created the term phenomenology. All right, that he has the spirit of phenomenology. Right, okay. Hegel's basic, the rough picture of his whole system later on for the encyclopedia of uh, the science of logic, and even later Husserl take it, change it to phenomenology, but he changed it to something a little bit different as an extension of the meaning of phenomenon or phenomena. But actually, his basic idea is phenomenology from the point of hermeneutics is the pure experience, and the ideas like that. Of course, his student, uh, like Heidegger, and even more, another like Sartre, they always extend this phenomenology idea, but they put it into another branch. It's the so-called existential phenomenology, right? Okay, that's another case. But here I want to trace a little bit the history of the word phenomenon or phenomena versus the essence. That's we need a definition for them, and we need to talk about the relationship of the two parts. Okay, so that's a basic idea. All right. Next one, I'm going to talk about the necessity or the essence behind phenomenon or phenomena. Okay, the absolute in this uh, instancology, the absolute, that is the necessity. Okay, if you learned it, if you understand this system, you draw the conclusion. Okay, the absolute here means necessity. All right, what is necessity? And then everybody else knows that's the essence. Basically, that's another word for essence, right? Okay, the similar meaning can be expressed. That's something behind. Okay, something hidden from phenomena. Okay, it's something not shown to us directly. Or you may say, as the scientists in the 18th century, 19th century said, they try to fool you. You have to examine or put nature on test to get the truth. So the essence is something that behind it. You have to seek it, to have to discover it, to dig it out. You cannot get it directly. It looks like the God. Oh, no, we don't say God. We say the whatever, the nature won't expose it. It's like the best part of something. It won't just give it to you. You have to work on it to discover it. Okay? So we call it a truth too. Okay, so here necessity, essence, and these terms are all describe the absolute in instancology. The absolute is the idea, is the truth. I want you to have this idea firmly set up in your mind. After you learn, you understand instancology. Okay. Okay, that's for absolutology. Absolute, the absolute. Okay, the other part, its counterpart is the relative part. Okay, so I call it the relative with a capital R because it's a part which versus the absolute. All right. Okay, if we say the absolute is necessity, The relative is a non-necessity of it's superficial, all right? It's a phenomena, okay? It's something shown directly to you. You can feel it, you can sense it, you can use your sense organs to grasp it directly, okay? That's not hidden, okay? So that is, they are not phenomena, or the relative part will expose it to you directly, okay? So but just be careful, because they can be something that's not real. It's like a lot of people use the example of looking at the stakes put into water. You see curved, you see bented, not curved, bented. That's you. Uh, the stake in the water. This fact shows you the false reality. Okay, it's actually, everybody knows it's not bented. Okay, so that's a meaning of the relative or phenomenon. Okay, so now I give the definition for the two. Okay, now we come to the relationship of the two. Okay, first, I want to get an idea of this from Instancology. The absolute must go forward, must develop, must move forward. Okay, that's one idea. The second idea is the absolute, when it goes forward, it makes a circle. It repeats itself. It's alone. All right? That's the second idea. I'll explain it later. Okay. The third idea is when the absolute or the essence or the necessity goes forward, it must have the relative part at the front or shown first. When the absolute moves forward, it doesn't move by itself. It's like a king or something like that, like emperor. It must be carried off or with something in front of it uh, to open the road, to search, to lay foundation for it to go forward. In other words, when you see this group, let's say a group of people come here, you cannot see the general or the emperor directly in the crowd. You can see is every other people, every other soldiers or whatever staff members around it. Okay, those people, the rest of it are the phenomena. Okay, it's the relative. Okay, the accidental things. They hide the essence, the absolute, the king, the emperor inside it. Okay, that is always the case. Okay, so this is a thing we must understand. And so 3 points we have to say. I want you to I want to instill in your mind. Number one, the absolute must move forward. Number two, the absolute must go in a circle or repeat itself at least once. All right. Number three, when the absolute goes forward, it must have the phenomena, the accidental, the non-essential things, or the not very direct, something that you can see, it's not certain, something like that, to show as what we can detect directly or we can sense directly. Okay, so we have to take inside to see, to seek it before we find out the truth of it. All right? Okay, that's the idea. Uh, and let me give you a little example. Let's say now we discussed in the internet a lot of things about the discussion or debate about creationism versus evolution. All right? Okay. Creationism here you can think as the necessity or the absolute. It will go move forward, but qualitatively. Qualitatively. In other words, it will make a big decision. It's a human or it's animal. It's a plant or it's animal life. It's matter or it's a spirit. It makes the qualitative difference. All right? The evolution, on the other hand, is the outside forces. That's a phenomena. It makes quantitative differences. It only make micro changes. Okay, let's say a bird, his uh, beak can change a little bit from short to small or from sharp to not very sharp. His claw can change somehow from very long or to short or something, and that's called microevolution. All right, evolution, the Darwin's evolution idea is the description of outside forces. That's quantitative changes. Okay, the creationism or design idea is the qualitative changes. That is the absolute part. But remember, as I said before, any absolute must, well, I cannot say any because the absolute is only one, must go forward with the relative appears first. Okay, so that's the idea. When I say, okay, now let's come to another point. When I say everything in this relative world is a circle or it must repeat itself, it cannot be only single one. That's a truth. So remember, the relative is something. The something is one. That is creation from created point of view. But as long as the one appeared, it becomes two. All right? Even the one hidden inside itself is two parts too. All right? Like when something, the relative is created, it has absolute hidden with it. Okay? It's the same idea. When we can think about this way, when you think the world is not creationism, well, think about that. Do we create things? Of course, you can say people create, human beings create a lot of things. Okay, so let's repeat. You cannot just have one, whatever it is, create once. Since people can create cars, create internet, and God, the absolute, can create the relative. So this is from this meaning, it's a duplicate or it's a circle. It goes back. Okay, so I want to understand this. Everything is like this, and in this relative world, the relative world, when this new thing started, it must be one, one or once. Real discovery is only once. But whatever already discovered, or you find it from the one, you will realize it is two parts on the topmost category. The big division of categories, it should be two, like a phenomena and essence, like male, female, okay? Like the same thing as the absolute and the relative, and the things like that. All right. Okay. So I want to give you this idea. Basically, what I'm going to stress here. All right. Okay. So far for this one, we'll see you next time. Thank you so much. Bye bye.